We bring the Transportation Committee meeting to order. This is a special meeting. I will ask Councilman Shakespeare to offer a prayer, and then we'll do the pledge.
Dear Lord, first of all, I want to ask you to pray for all of us in honor of a very special person that was buried today from Sorrento, Craig LeBlanc, and everyone that was there know how special he is. And also allow us to the intelligence and to make the right decisions for the people of the parish, and that you, Lord, allow us to be protected in everything we do, and that we move forward with things for Ascension Parish, and that everyone has an opportunity to get home safely. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Zahn, make a note that Mr. Valentine and Mr. Lambert are still at work and they're not able to attend. I see on the agenda item number 4, Master Transportation Projects. We're going to pass on this. This has already been sent to the full council, and I had requested that if any of the other council members had a problem with the road list, if they would come to this meeting, and I see there's no one present, so we're going to pass on it. And the next item is Barrier Construction Company construction agreement approval on the 204 road project. DPW Director Bill Rue, I would assume that would be you, Mr. Dennis, taking that?
Right. Ken Israel from URS will present the agreement.
I won't take it myself, but the people from PEC are here to explain the overages and underage on the contract with Barrier.
While Mr. Neal is coming up to the mic, I'd like to welcome Mr. John McMillan back to Ascension Parish. Welcome back, Mr. John. Okay, Mr. Neal.
Good evening. My name is Neil Serrard with PEC. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for having this special meeting, so hopefully we can get these issues resolved. Once again, I want to make my apologies for the misunderstanding at the last meeting, and hopefully we can remedy that situation tonight. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tony Aricol, who is the boss, my boss, at PEC.
And I apologize. I'm subbing for Kevin Gravois because he's out of state on vacation. So I've hopefully come up to speed. And obviously there's a lot of other people in this room that are familiar with this project. But I've prepared some documentation, which unfortunately, from what I understand, y'all were not given any documentation at the prior meeting, and I apologize for that. Let me first just ask, do y'all have a copy of the change order in front of you?
Yes, we do.
Do you have a copy of Kevin Gravois did a little I guess a summary on some of the major changed items on there. Do you have that sheet? It's like a little 2-page sheet. Hold on. Yes, I think. I guess I'm looking at this sheet here, y'all.
Got it.
Okay. What I'd like to do, maybe briefly, if y'all will allow me, is maybe just go over, or tell me if you feel it's not necessary. There is another sheet that just kind of talks about the overall road program, both projects, and the dollars and stuff involved, just so you kind of have a feel for that. If that.
Can I just add one thing, I guess, before you get started? And Ricky, correct me if I'm mistaken, but at the last meeting with Barrier, they have agreed to proceed, drop their claim, move forward with the repairs to the roadway, which is a totally separate issue from change order. Which is a totally separate issue from the quantities overruns that PEC is going to present. I just wanted to make that clarification that Barrier is proceeding. There was a meeting with Mr. Ricky Babin, and that, as far as I understand, is resolved. They're moving forward, and completely different issue from this. I just want to make that distinction, as this is quantity difference.
Councilman Sexton.
What was the decision, final decision on that? What are they going to do? Since you brought it up.
Councilman Sexton, members of the Transportation Committee, basically what we had, if you recall, we presented you some scenarios. The scenarios range from diamond grinding a portion of the hills and overlaying, which you said absolutely not. And the most, I guess, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the scenario was to completely strip up and start over Henderson Bayou Road and El Landry. Basically, we met with our engineers, both PEC and URS, and came up with what we thought was a scenario that we believe the courts would relate as being defective work. And that defective work that we sought was approximately, correct me if I'm wrong, mathematicians here, about half of the road, both combined length, about half of the roads. They're going to completely redo those sections. We've got the work, once it be completed, will meet the specifications of our engineers as far as smoothness and riding surface, which is within tolerances. So the complaints and the problems that you have will be repaired. That was the first and major dispute, and that was the purpose of us getting involved. If you recall, we had sent a letter out basically asking them to mobilize by a certain date and complete the work, or we would deem them to be in default. They've agreed to do that, and I will, since I'm up here, there's a caveat. There were 3 or 4 very minor issues that the contractor was also discussing, and one of them is in quantity. Basically, the agreement that we've reached is, I think, what you would be entitled to in any kind of recovery. So I don't think you're really giving up anything as far as what the law would entitle us to receive. In addition to the repairs on the roadway, a couple of items, they have agreed to pay us our liquidated damages of approximately $3,600, which we knew was an important issue to the council. There was a small failure on KC Road. They're going to pay 1/2 of the repair cost of that. The reason we agreed on 1/2 was because our engineers have indicated to us that there was actually a ditch moved, and there was a subsurface issue there that we feel that we could not put 100% onto the contractor. So we had recommended and presented to you for approval is that we pay only 1/2. The contractors pay 1/2 of redoing or making that repair. The shoulder footing is in the change order, and I think that's really the only thing that's an add-on to the change order was the amount, which is just a material increase. The material was put down there and verified. And that's the high points, Mr. Shakespeare, of what we'd agreed to. Those other issues are really minor. We're talking about, thousands of dollars compared to the repair was $100,000 plus dispute. So what we've done is, I think, our engineers basically gave us, look, this is what needs to be repaired to make the riding surface within our engineering specifications, and that's what they've agreed to do.
All right, so
The mobilization was going to occur, I believe, July 15th, but we had anticipated a June 15th approval. If we get a July 15th approval, I would assume we can use the same time schedule and move that back another month. So the only thing that's changed from when we sat down with Barrier is that the approval is today, which is July, instead of June, so the mobilization and completion date would be bumped a month.
okay.
But that's
So
just
basically, we got what we asked for. They're going to fix the road.
they're going to fix
to
the
our
road
specifications.
to our specifications.
Okay.
Now, not to confuse you, they are not going to completely remove the entire road.
I understand.
The
They're gonna
portions that are
fix the-
bad, they're fixing.
They're going to fix the portions of the road that are bad.
And they're not just grinding them down. The engineers can give you the specifications of what they're going to do, but they're going to basically redo those sections
Right.
of the road.
Okay.
They're not just going to, what you explicitly told us you didn't want, is to just grind
Right.
the tops of the hills and try to patch them.
We want it done right.
Correct. So that's what Barrier's agreed to do, and all that's reflected in the change order. What URS just told you about the change order is correct. The change order quantity increases are due to mostly quantity increases. That has nothing to do with the repairs. I just want to make it clear, we're not paying for those repairs. They're not.
Okay.
That's not part of that change order.
Thank you, Mr. Batten.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Another just minor clarification is this, those items, however small, are included in this final adjustment change order that includes the adjusted quantity, so it's all combined, although those are a small portion of it. Just briefly, if y'all allow me, and again, if y'all already had time to review this, if you could go to the sheet where Kevin has the summary of just the overall project cost, I thought that would be, it's got basically 10 items. This is from Kevin. Y'all see that? Is that one? Because it's, and obviously part of this is me familiarizing myself so I don't tell y'all something that isn't exactly how it occurred, but this is kind of a synopsis of the overall program. If you start really at, I like to start at item 7 because to me the money's the most important thing. I think your original construction contract amount was $3.56 million, and of course I invite Mr. Rue or anybody to stop me if there were some errors in this, but I believe it's correct. Our estimate back before you actually bid the job was 3.2. Barrier's bid was 2.55, and that's what you awarded their contract on. You executed one change order where you deleted Muddy Creek Road and you added, I believe it's Blythe Road, and that was actually a net negative $96,000. And then this change order that we're considering tonight is the $249,433. So it's a net difference on that contract of about $150, or roughly about 5.4%. Then, kind of quasi-concurrently, when I guess the Barrier bid came in significantly less than your construction budget amount, released a second contract, which R.J. Daigle got, that basically added some additional roads. There was a change order approved on it to add a turn lane on Eastleigh-Melanson, and then there has already been executed a final adjustment change order on that particular project, ending that project at $532,292. If you add those two contracts together, including the change order that, of course, we're considering tonight, you have a total of $3.2 million. And that's still $328,000 below your construction dollar amount. That being said, the change order you've got under consideration tonight is the final adjustment change order, which principally, like all of these, it's a unit price contract, and certainly particular items went up and down based on the field conditions. In particular, one I just wanted to point out, I think the one that probably occurred the most dramatically was essentially along Henderson Bayou Road. You really had your base there was significantly worse than basically the soil borings showed. That actually takes up 3 of those items. Item 2, roughly about 80% of item 2, and then if you flip to the second page, item 45 and 48, which are about 50 and 23, so almost 150,000 of that final adjustment change order was just really bad soil conditions on Henderson Bayou, including significantly more fluorolite and obviously the need for additional lime stabilization and subgrade patching. The decisions to do those particular things were made jointly, with obviously the DPW as, that stuff was discovered. When you found out you had more fluorolite, obviously you had to make the decision whether or not you were going to remove it or stop, essentially. And so those occurred during the course of construction. The other items, I guess are relatively self-explanatory, but to me, those are the ones, as someone who wasn't involved in the project on a day-to-day basis, those are the ones that stood out because obviously it's the lion's share of the changes. You did have some credit ones, but again, obviously, because these were all unit prices, they were, there was no negotiation as far as dollar value of per unit price, because that was obviously a bid number on those items. If you go to the front page of that of the change order, there's a little paragraph description that I believe Mr. Babin has already kind of alluded to, and it essentially talks about the contract days, the liquidated damages, and then a couple other things that have to do with essentially the negotiated settlement. I think y'all that covers the majority of the stuff, and I guess I'll open it up to questions, and hopefully, with some assistance from some other people in the room, I'll be able to answer them again. I apologize for Kevin not being here today, but I know y'all are anxious to get started. And of course, the contractor's start date is pending, obviously, approval of this change order, because some of those items are tied up into this change order. But there is no cost in this for him to do the road repairs on the rough pavement. That's at no cost to the parish.
Yes, I mean, our biggest question, I guess, is you're talking about approximately $250,000, give or take a few. And this is on a change order, and we got this a few weeks ago. And this road project has been going on for a while. Normally, we get change orders as we go. My question is, when were these, if it didn't come to us, I mean, these decisions were made early on, and if these decisions were made early on, they're do count for a good bit of money, and normally somebody has to approve that. My question is, who approved it and when, and why wasn't we kept up to date on it? Normally, we've just kept up to date, and as the projects go through, they bring us change orders to be approved, and it just makes us very uneasy to sit here after the road project is over, and all of a sudden a $250,000 change order comes in. Of course, that makes it even more because a $250,000 settlement is being made.
And I'll say that, and I went through in detail, that's just a very unfortunate coincidence, because quite frankly, if somebody had tried to make that happen, I'm not sure it would be smart enough math-wise to make it happen, because there's so many unit prices and stuff involved. It's just coincidental that those two numbers were close.
Well, let's get in specifics. Number two, when was that done? And
at this point, obviously, not being specifically involved, I'm going to give what I think happened, and I'm going to let maybe some people from DPW and URS talk. But essentially, I'm pretty sure what happened, of course, as they're going along in construction. And this job, really, near as I can tell, only took 4 months to construct from beginning to end. So you spent $2.5 million in 4 months. So you're spending a lot of money in each month. I think, essentially, what happened was when they ran into some problems on the couple of items that went substantially over, I think the decisions were made in the field. We've got to go ahead and remove more of this fluoride, or basically we have this destroyed road that and I'm add the additional limes. In other words, those were decisions that were made in the field. Obviously with concurrence of DPW, and then and this is the part where the conjecture, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct here, is it was ending in July and August. I think their last pay request was sometime in the middle of August. And at that time, I believe already there was issues with the roads that were rough, the couple of roads that were rough. So you had this outstanding, fairly substantial, obviously, issue out there. I think a draft final adjustment change order was created at that time, again, back in August, and forwarded to the contractor for his review. Well, he did not concur with it, because obviously he didn't know what decision was going to be made on those other items. And I think at that point, then, of course, not to, because it's a overworked thing, but obviously you had the hurricane and you had some lost time due to that. But you didn't really have an approved change order to bring back to y'all to present to say, here's what's happened. I mean, at that point, you're exactly right. It would have been fresh. I mean, it would still have already happened, but it certainly would have happened within the last, 45 days or something, as opposed to this time now. And then I think the lag occurred beyond that, mainly because the decision of who's going to bear the cost of the repairs and those couple of other minor items. I'm not making a excuse for it, because obviously a lot of time has gone in between. But that's my conjecture of how we got to this scenario. Just a kind of an unfortunate case of events. And again, that's my conjecture. But Mr. Rue.
Well, and make sure you understand. I mean, we are. At least I personally am very happy with the time schedule that was kept up, and I'm extremely happy that we had a firm that went out and we had problems on the project, and it was cleared up, and so that's important. I mean, we didn't have to go to litigation for that, and I think that's very important. But we need to find out here some specifics as to when this went on. So.
Yeah, and certainly we're not in the business of bringing something after the fact to
well,
owners.
there's answers. Please, Mr. Rue.
But I believe that's exactly what happened.
And well, that is it. This is a very, very unusual circumstance. In my 6 years here, we have never had this type of situation where we had a combination of problems with the contractor, bad weather, bad roads that, like was said, the borings didn't substantiate the type of problems we had inside some of these roads, especially Henderson Bayou. To give you for instance, when we got into Henderson Bayou itself, the determination to do some of this work, lime stabilization, was done by me after consultation with the engineers, the PEC, and our engineers. And URS, and the reason for that is that the road was shut down. People couldn't pass. People was actually getting stuck on the road because the initial stabilization did not work, and we had to act immediately over the weekend, in fact, to stabilize some of this road just so people could get by. This was a field decision, and many times we make a similar decision. Most of the time we come back to the council as a balance and change order to reflect how we saved money and then how we overspent on money. In most cases, it's not nearly this amount. It might be $5,000 or $10,000 one way or the other, and we come back as a balance and change order to reflect that. This was unusual, and again, going into the fact of the hurricanes and stop work and the lawsuit and the bad roads. Again, you put it all together. We didn't have anything to present to you until just a couple months ago.
Well, and my question, I mean, you just said that a decision was made in the field, and this was last summer, right?
End of the summer.
So, sometime last summer.
That's right.
To spend a considerable more amount of money. That's fine.
That's right. We didn't know how much.
And that is fine. I mean, that should always be a decision like that made in the field and everything. But our question is, why wasn't, especially because it was a considerable amount of money, it just brought to one of the council meetings that we've had since that time and said, look, we've had to increase, we've had to have a change order. There has a substantial amount of quantitative measures that have been increased. And we're still not sure about the exact amount, but it's going to be somewhere between such and such and such. It gives us a chance to get on board and know what's going on. But to go now 11 or 12 months later and then all of a sudden lump all of these together and say, here, and put it in your lap, it puts us in an awkward situation as to, what and when and how and why. And that's all we want. I'm not questioning whether it had to be done or anything like that. It's just that I would, very, very strongly suggest that when something like that happens, make a decision, but let us know. I mean, just let us know. Yes, Mr. Israel?
Kent,
What?
in the future.
And do we have any policies in place to not let this happen again? Because
We will
I'm
make
not
sure.
happy about this.
No, we understand. We will make sure that this, to the best of our ability, this does not happen again with the large quantities this way. We will bring it to the council as quickly as we can.
Now, all of these things, as they were done, were approved and granted approval by DPW? You concur with?
Yes.
Yes.
I can stand by that. We did, we're talking about consultation amongst all the engineers involved, and that was in all the cases. We did the best we could for making the right decision based on all the information we had, and to move the project forward.
And I'll say the program y'all have now with, obviously additional special oversight with URS, that actually occurred like kind of midstream in this particular project. So although they did get the final adjustment change order, I'm not, and again, not physically being there, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, I think they weren't there from the beginning. So the system you'll have in place now was not in place at the beginning of this particular job.
Mike, we have something in place now that this is not going to happen again?
We do, and we're standardizing everything. And he's correct, we weren't involved, I don't believe, in that project until after it was completed, and we had some issues with Barrier, and we all got involved and had a meeting. But yes, everybody's being watched carefully as far as quantities, issues, inspections to make sure they're getting the correct reports. I agree with you. When you have something that's significant, and it's understandable that you had some problems with the base material and you found things that you didn't even find. But we agree. You guys need to be informed when something that significant is coming about. And even if we don't know what the quantity is, if there's an issue that's found, it needs to be brought to your attention.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, my wife doesn't like it when I don't write the amount down when I write a check.
Mine too.
So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, and and the other thing is you said that it was way off on the geotech information. Is that common practice that we have that much difference?
I'll say
geotech?
In something like the fluoride, I believe on this particular job, the borings were pretty close. They were like every 500 feet, which is pretty close. I'll say that, with fluorite, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. I mean, you found a lot more than you found in those particular borings, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do one every 100 feet, but I'm not sure if that really improved your accuracy that much, to be honest with you, because you're obviously just doing a 3-inch hole, and making a guess from that.
Okay. So it was nothing to do with...
No, I don't think the geotechnical
geotech
information was
information.
faulty. I think it was, just by luck of the draw, didn't hit the particular pockets of, a lot of fluorite.
Okay.
Ms. Suzanne, make a note that Mr. Valentine has joined the committee. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Hillensbeck?
Thank you, Cheryl. I agree with Kent. I'm disappointed as well that changes were approved that involved significant dollars, and the committee wasn't notified of the changes along the way. I guess the question I have is on these change orders, who provided the engineering services? Was it PEC or was it?
You mean like preparing the change orders? Yes, Mr.
Well,
Hillsback.
yeah. Was there engineering required along the way on these particular change orders?
Summarizing the quantities, but I mean, these weren't changes of like adding roads or something. I mean, this final adjustment is just a quantity adjustment change order, if I'm following your question correctly. But essentially, the decision to, whether to remove more fluoride or something was made, obviously, with DPW's concurrence. Or approval, essentially. Obviously, we would certainly do anything that they weren't going to approve.
Is that all, Mr. Hillensbeck?
Oh, no. I don't understand how we can miss knowing what's in the road base, the sub base, the floor light. I mean, if we did the We did the soil borings up front. We should.
And we did, and of course.
Who was the geotech on that?
I'm sorry, I don't know. Do y'all remember?
PSI?
Who?
Was it PSI?
PSI? I mean, if you go down the list, the item numbers, item number 2 is removal of the base course. That was $84,000. I'm just going to hit the big items. Then the lime stabilization was an additional $50,000. That's item number 45. Item number 2, removal of the base course, $84,000. Item 13A, traffic maintenance, aggregate $79,000, and item 14, asphalt concrete, an additional $47,000. I don't know. I've just never seen a change order come in of this magnitude at the end of a project, well after it's over, and especially after there's a discussion of possible litigation and repairs, being required by us of the contractor to go back and repair the road. So I would like to, Cheryl, I'd like to just table this and study it, look at it a little more, not make a decision on it tonight. That's where I am. Maybe have a little more discussion with DPW about it.
I have a question. I have a question. I'm curious about something. I'm trying to learn about this. The asphalted concrete, an increase in 944 tons.
Yeah.
The thickness was 3.65 inches in lieu of 3.50.
Mm-hmm.
And so the quantities went up. Why is it that far off? And in other words, if it was if it's because they put it too thick, then
I think what
is that common, or whose fault
yeah,
is that, or is it?
I don't think that's a fault. That
That's
could
a
have
common thing?
That could have easily swung the other way because there's an acceptable tolerance of the .25.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you would have had to accept it if it was
Okay.
3 1/4.
It's when the okay.
And I'll be honest with you, most contractors obviously they
it's
want
a
to
little
err
bit
on the
less.
high side because certainly if it's 3.20, then all of a sudden they're in trouble.
Okay.
But that's within the acceptable DOT standards. So that.
Well, and that's what I'm
I guess
saying.
what's hard to on this contract is fairly large. It's $2.5 million. So this, it's not a big percent difference on the thickness there. In other words, I don't think you got grossly a lot more asphalt. It's still within the acceptable tolerance.
And I just reiterated. This was known for a year. We could have gotten this a long time ago. I just hate to come here to this meeting and find out. And I know I appreciate y'all did send some information on that I'd studied from that.
What's your wishes? We have another meeting next Tuesday.
I say we table it,
The
make a motion to table it, bring it
I
up
think
then.
we can discuss it with people until Tuesday and make a decision.
Make a decision Tuesday. We're going to table this until next Tuesday. Place it on the council, on a transportation agenda for that meeting.
Thank you.
We'll do some research on it.
And certainly, if there's any additional information we can get y'all, please let us know, and we'll forward it.
We appreciate you coming. Thank you.
And I promise Kevin will be here next time.
Move to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned.